welcome to day 17 of my sewing Vlogmas. I'm Cath, my channel is made by Cath Craft, and I'm really glad to have you here for another day of sewing and Christmassy chats. So it's Friday today, the days seem to be whizzing by in the run up to Christmas, and I have just got back from the school run. Today is my children's last day at school before they break up for Christmas, so they're very excited and they have a short day. I picked them up at 1:30, so I've got a little bit less time this morning, but I'm planning to pack a little bit of sewing in, hopefully. But I thought I'd pop on first and share what I'm wearing and what else I've been up to and a couple of other bits. So first of all, what Elf was up to in the night? Well, the cheeky elf had got out a wooden calendar that my children have had since they were quite little. And it's a calendar where there's lots of little magnetic pieces that you can put on, so you can change it as appropriate. So it has things like what day it is today and yesterday and tomorrow, and what the weather's like and what activities you might be doing. And my children have always enjoyed sort of updating it. Not all the time, but they'll go through phases of updating it. Well, Elf had got it out. It hadn't been out for a while. Elf had got it out and he'd messed it all up. He'd written Elf in the magnetic letters. I'll put a picture up so you can see. And then he got everything wrong on the calendar bit. So he had said today was a load of numbers and tomorrow was autumn. He said the month was Halloween and he said it was hot and sunny here. So yeah, everything was wrong on the calendar. So my children thought it was really funny that he got it all so mixed up. So they spent a while putting it back together and getting it to look all proper and right for how we are at the moment. So they really enjoyed him having had a play with that. And it was nice to see them having a play with it and updating it too. So that's what our cheeky elf was up to in the night. And now I'll talk about what I'm wearing today. And today again, doing these videos does make me think about what I'm wearing and not wearing in my wardrobe. So I thought I'd reach for something that I don't wear so often. And it's this pinafore. And I've teamed it with a handmade top too, but I'll talk about the pinafore first. I made the pinafore using this pattern here. And it is the Fiona Sundress pattern by Closet Core Patterns. It's a really nice pattern for a fitted pinafore, and you can either make it as a sundress for the summer or as a pinafore like I'm wearing to go over other layers. And I'll show you the options. Closet Core always include a few different options in their pattern. So yeah, it's a fitted sundress with princess seams and a button down front. It's got quite a straight neckline, and it's got these patch pockets too, and there's lots of top stitching on it, which is always a bit of fun. So you can either make a full length version with slits at the sides, or you can make a knee length version or a mini version. And there's also a couple of different back details. You can either make it what they call a bra-friendly back with sort of simple straps, or you can make this sort of quite nice cutout back with these crossover straps. So yeah, there's quite a few different options in this pattern. I think they rate it as a 3 out of 5, but I would say it is a bit of a fiddly one. It's definitely one for someone that's fairly confident in their sewing. The size range isn't the best on this one. A lot of Closet Core patterns do have an extended size range, but this one only comes in their size 0 to 20 size range. So the largest size on this one is bust 46 inches, waist 39 inches, and hips 48 inches. And in terms of fabrics for this pinafore or sundress, they recommend medium weight wovens like denim, twill, and chambray, and they said stretch wovens can also be used. So I made my version in this really nice stretch denim fabric that I got from Fabric Godmother. And it's a fairly fitted pinafore, but the stretch denim means it's really comfy to wear. And then I added on jeans buttons down the front, which I quite like how they look. And they're quite fun to put on because I didn't have to sew them on. I could use my prim pliers instead, which is always good fun. So for this dress, I actually made a toile before I made it because I wanted it to be nice and fitted and I wanted to check the fit. So I just used some calico to make a full toile of this one. And I did need to make a few changes. I made the size based on my measurements. That put me at a size 2 for the bust, a size 4 for the waist, and a size 6 for the hips. But when I made it up, I found it needed a little bit of tweaking around the waist. So I kind of brought in the princess seams a little bit. And particularly at the back, I have a bit of a sway back. So I had to adjust. It's got darts at the back. I'll show you on the pattern. Oops. There are darts at the back of the skirt, and I had to sort of widen those a little bit to bring it in a little bit more at the back to fit my figure. But I'm really pleased that now it was quite a satisfying sew, and I quite enjoyed the process of fitting it because it made me learn a few new skills about how to adjust like a dress pattern that's quite fitted, because I don't wear a lot of really fitted clothes. And I'll put a picture up of me wearing so you can see how it looks. It's actually really comfy to wear in this lovely stretch denim fabric. I'd say it's maybe like a medium weight denim. It's not super thick, but it's not really lightweight either. I mean, I just think it's a bit interesting, a bit different. I actually made it to try and replicate a ready-to-wear pinafore I had that was quite similar in a black colour. And this one's turned out a little bit different, but I really like having them slightly different. And in terms of the length of the skirts, I think I went for somewhere in between the knee length and the mini length. I didn't want it too short, but I didn't want it knee length either, so I went for somewhere in the middle. But it's a nice one to wear, and when I do get it out I think, gosh, that's really comfy, I should really wear it more often. I think actually one of the reasons I didn't wear it so much at first is because I didn't have so many tops that I felt went with it, because I don't think this one goes so well with the Freya top, which I often like to layer with pinafores. I don't think it looks quite right with this fitted pinafore. So I actually made this top afterwards, and I think that the combination's really nice with the two blues. And this top is the Agnes top by Tilly and the Buttons, which is one of my favourite jersey tops. It's quite a simple jersey top with a scoop neck, and it's fairly fitted. I'll show you the line drawings here. You can add ruching on the shoulders at the front, but I just quite like often going for this simple silhouette because I think that works well when you want to layer it up. Again, it's not a pattern with the best size range ever. It goes from UK 6 to UK 20, and the largest sizes for bust 44 inches, waist 38 inches and hips 47 inches. And I usually make my Agnes in size 2, which is for bust 32, waist 26, hips 35. And I'm bust 32, waist 26, and my hips are 36. But I find with stretchy fabric, I don't need to grade out. And this fabric I think is a really pretty one actually. It's a cotton jersey with these really cute little white sort of flat floral print on it. Yeah, it's nice and comfy to wear. I got this from an online shop that's closed down now, unfortunately. But I love this fabric so much. I bought enough to make a top and a dress. I made a summery dress out of it, a kind of a t-shirt dress with a gathered skirt. And I had just enough also to squeeze out a dress for my daughter. So my daughter and I can twin in our summery versions. And I'll put a picture up of that so you can see, just in case you're interested in seeing our summery versions also in this fabric. But it's quite a nice, cosy, comfy combination, this one I'm wearing today. Also, today I thought I'd talk to you about my knitting project I've been working on in December. I think I've shared a couple of knitted Christmas decorations in a recent video called My Christmas and Sewing and Knitting Makes, and I'll link that in case you fancy looking at that. But I've been also working on a knitted garment for myself, and I don't think I've shared that in Vlogmas yet, so I thought I'd talk about it today. Because I've been working on that, not every evening, but I've been picking it up and putting it down through December. And I'm working on a variation of this pattern here, which is the Downtown Cardigan by All About Amy. It's an oversized cardigan knitted in garter stitch with sort of dropped shoulders and a quite a relaxed loose fit and slightly balloon sleeves. And it's a really nice simple pattern, one that you can just knit away when you're watching TV without having to think too much, because it's pretty much knitting back and forth. And I've made a couple of versions of this. I originally made a version in chunky yarn, more based on the pattern. I find that one really, really hot to wear, so I don't really get it out unless the weather gets really cold. So I went on to make one in a lighter weight yarn, in a what's called a worsted weight yarn, which is this pink one. Here's this pink one. And I made it a little bit cropped and a little bit more close fitting. That's my pink version, and I've worn that a lot and I really love wearing it, and it's a really nice weight to keep you cosy in winter but not too hot. And I made that using Super Trooper yarn, which is a merino yarn by Wool and the Gang. And I wanted to make another one in black because I thought having a black cardigan in my wardrobe would be really useful, and I'm often putting on outfits and thinking, oh, if I only had a nice knitted black cardigan to wear with this. So I'm currently knitting my black version, and I'll show you at the moment. I'm working on one of the sleeves, and here it is. So as you can see, it's got a bit of a balloon shape, but I haven't gone for a full balloon. It's a kind of subtle balloon shape, quite like the pink one. And it's knitting up quite nicely. I've got the front and the back done. I've got this sleeve, and then I've got one more sleeve to do. And then I have to start sewing up, which is not my favourite part, but I'm learning to love it a bit more. As the more I knit, the more I sort of discover ways of making it look nice and neat through YouTube videos and that sort of thing. And for this version, I'm using a different wool because the Super Trooper wool by Wool and the Gang, they didn't have a black colour, and I really wanted to use black. So I'm using the We Are Knitters Merry Fine wool, which is another worsted weight merino wool. But I have found it slightly different to the Wool and the Gang Super Trooper wool. This Merry Fine is just slightly lighter weight. It feels slightly drapier, and so actually I've had to adjust the cardigan pattern again. So I had to adjust it quite a lot for my pink version. I had to kind of recalculate the stitches based on the lighter weight wool. But I'm having to recalculate it again for this wool, but not too much. I think mostly I've added on a couple of stitches at the end of each row, and then I had to adjust the increase on the sleeve a bit too. But I'm really pleased with how it's coming on, and I'm really finding the more I think about knitting and adjustments and that sort of thing, the more my confidence grows and enables me to make garments that I'm really going to use and are really going to work for me. So I thought I'd just share that knitting project. I'm really enjoying it because when I've been quite tired after a day of dashing around with the children or getting the house jobs done, it's really nice to be able to sit and just relax and do a bit of sort of row after row knitting. But that is what I'm knitting at the moment, so yeah, I thought I'd share that. So in terms of my plans for today, well, I haven't got as much time today as usual because my children are finishing school early, but I'm hoping to get a bit of sewing in, and I'm hoping to start sewing my Hovia jacket by Megan Nielsen. So if you saw my days 15 and 16 video, you'll know I've cut it out now. So I'm now going to go and get my overlocker out, I think, and overlock all the edges of the outer pieces, because they're made in a cotton jacquard fabric that apparently frays quite a lot, and I want to make sure they don't get too damaged when I start to sew or start to fall apart at the edges too much. So I'm going to get my overlocker out and do all that overlocking, and then hopefully start actually a bit of the sewing after that too. Fingers crossed, I'll see how far I get. But I thought I'll pop on a bit later and share with you how I'm getting on. I also thought I'd mention today at my children's school, my son is in pyjamas because his class have been, they kind of have these points they kind of build up to in their class for good behaviour and that sort of thing. And if they get a certain number of points, they get a treat. And they decided as a class their treat would be to have a day where everyone goes into school in their pyjamas. So my son was quite tickled to go into school in his pyjamas today. He wore a cosy Minecraft onesie on top to keep him nice and cosy. And my daughter had a day where she could wear party clothes in school today, so I was quite glad they could both not wear uniform, as it might have caused trouble if one of them had to go in uniform and one of them didn't. So she went off to school in her party clothes. So I took a little video of them scooting off to school, so I'll pop that in a little bit so you can see how they look. The only me-made item on show is my daughter's dress she's wearing, and you can't see it very well in the video, but it's her Christmas dress I made for her earlier this year, using some really nice cotton jersey fabric from First for Fabrics, and I made it using the pansy dress pattern, which is a children's dress pattern by Poppy and Jazz. It's a jersey dress pattern. It's quite a simple jersey dress with a crew neck and a little gathered skirt. And I thought I'd pop in a picture of my daughter, how she does look wearing that dress, in case you're interested. This isn't her today, this is her before when I asked her to do a few photos. But I thought you might like to see what she was wearing today because it is handmade there. So I'm going to go off now and hopefully get a little bit of overlocking done and maybe start on some sewing too. So I'll say goodbye now and I'll pop on a little bit later to share how I'm getting on. So bye! Hello, I thought I'd pop on again and show you that I'm getting on with overlocking all my edges of the hovia jacket. So I've got a nice pile here of neatly overlocked edges, and I'm really pleased I did decide to overlock them. Here's a close up so you can see how neat it looks now, because on the pieces I haven't yet overlocked you can really see there's quite a lot of fraying going on. I'll grab one and show you. You can see it's a cotton jacquard fabric that's made up of lots of different threads of cotton sort of squished together, and at the edges it's really starting to fray quite a bit, so I'm definitely glad I took the time to overlock these. So I've just got a few more to do, and I was quite pleased actually because I found I had a thread that matched quite well with this fabric, so you can see it's quite a good match. I don't have a huge lot of different overlocker thread colours. I've got black and navy and white and cream, and I use them mostly. I've also got red, and I've got this dusky pink colour you can see here. They're the only two colours I have that aren't kind of really neutral, so I was quite pleased that it matched so well, even though once I've sewn it you won't be able to see any of the overlocked edges, but I'll know myself that it's really neat in there and matchy. So and I'm going to carry on doing that and hopefully finish that, and then see if I've got a bit of time to get my sewing machine out and do a little bit of sewing, a few steps maybe. So I'll see you in a bit. Bye! Hurrah! All overlocked and ready to sew. Hello again. I just thought I'd finished overlocking all of my pieces, and I put my overlocker away, and then I found these two pieces hiding in amongst my lining fabric pieces I'd cut out. So they're obviously a little bit sneaky hiding in there, so got the overlocker back out. I'm going to overlock these, and then fingers crossed after that I'll actually be able to get the sewing machine out. So I'll see you in a bit once I've hopefully done a bit of sewing. Hello, it's now coming up to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I did manage to get my sewing machine out in the end this morning. So I did a little bit of sewing before lunch and a little bit of sewing after lunch, so I thought I'd pop on and share with you how I got on. So when I got my sewing machine out, I was quite pleased because I had white thread on it, because I'd used the white thread to sew my mum's face mask that I showed you yesterday on day 16. So that meant I could start sewing the lining, which needs the white thread. So I've sewn both the sleeve seams, here, because I want to use the inset sleeve method, where you sort of insert the sleeve in the round rather than attaching it to the bodice on the flat, because I think it will give a better finish. So yeah, I've done the sleeves, and then I've also put together the bodice lining pieces. So here they are, and I've also added in the little hanging loop here, so you can see it there. So that's basted on. I think that'll be quite useful. So I always really enjoy sewing with Liberty Tarn Lawn. It's a real joy to sew with. So I'm really pleased how it's shaping up so far. I haven't got started on any of the outer pieces yet, because one of the first steps of the outer pieces is to sew the pockets. Then you've got the word there, the pockets. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with the pockets. I had thought about maybe sewing some compartments into them for different things like my phone and my keys. But I'm just not sure. And now I've lengthened the jacket slightly. They might not need the compartments because they might be deep enough to be quite good at holding everything anyway. So yeah, I'm just not sure what I'm going to do there. So what I thought I'd do is I'm going to finish up now because I need to tidy up and get ready to go and get my children from school. And then I'm hoping to do some sewing this evening because my husband is going out, and I often like to get the sewing machine out and maybe watch a bit of TV in the background while he's out. So I think, yeah, I'm going to mull it over this afternoon what I want to do with the pockets and hopefully make a decision so I can start sewing the outer fabric out later in the evening. So when I go and collect my children from school today, we're going to dash back home briefly so my son can change out of his pyjamas into normal clothes. And then we're going to head to a local park and meet a load of his friends there. We often do that on the last day of term, and the weather's really mild today, so it's a great day for them being out and about in the outdoors and just unwinding a bit at the end of term. So I think I'm probably going to finish this video here because we'll probably be out for most of the afternoon, and then I'll be doing bedtime and everything on my own while my husband goes out. So it's going to be a bit of a busy one, and I'm not sure I have time to upload this video in between all that, so I'm going to upload it sooner rather than later, and then I will hopefully update you at the weekend in how I'm getting on this evening on sewing my hovia jacket. So there'll be more updates on my days 18 and 19 at the weekend. And I thought I'd mention also, tomorrow morning I'll be putting out a video that's not a Vlogmas video, but I'm talking about 9 patterns I sewed this year from my Make 9 list. They're 9 patterns I wanted to sew at the beginning of the year, and I sewed them all, and I'm talking about all of those patterns. So that video will be up tomorrow morning, so I'd love it if you would check that one out too. So yeah, I better tidy things up here and get ready for getting my children. So thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you again tomorrow for my Make 9 video, and then on Sunday for my days 18 and 19 of my sewing Vlogmas. So I'll see you then, and thanks again for watching. Bye!